Welcome back to the Desk Talk podcast with your hosts, Trent Werner and Alex Magala, bringing you weekly episodes talking business, personal development, and all things real estate. Let's do it! Welcome back. We are pumped to start a new series with a new co-host, Chris Shepard.
Hey guys, really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Let's dive right into it. All right, well, I do want to introduce Chris.
That's probably smart.
Chris is one of the owners of Uptown Properties. I'll let him kind of introduce himself a little bit more in detail. But just so everyone knows, he is enjoying himself on the mountain and joined us via Ring Central video call for the episode today. Chris, you want to introduce yourself, tell people a little bit more about you and what you wanted to talk about today?
Yeah. So I'm a real estate investor. I'm also a principal broker in Oregon and Washington. And I've been investing in real estate since about 2006. And my brother and I are business partners. Gotta love family business. You know, you gotta love it or you hate it. But AJ's my brother, started our property management company about 10 years ago. And as well, we have been reinvesting pretty much everything that our investment portfolio makes back into the portfolio to just try and grow it the best that we can. And today, I really want to talk about just some of those foundational habits. And I actually just got done talking with my brother and my dad and just really kind of like dove into some of those things that he taught us. One of which is just to invest your savings. First of all, saving, and then secondly, to not just hold on to that money, put it under the mattress or whatever, but to take that money and then put it into an investment, and really just plan out like that you worked really hard to save that money and finding the best place to put that. So when it comes to really like diving into that habit, you know, I can think of hundreds of things that my dad told me when I was little, but really the first one is just beware of debt and buy things in cash, and to make sure that you're not spending more than you make, and then as well that you're not kind of tricking yourself into spending more than you make by taking out loans. I mean, being a experienced real estate investor, like leverage is a huge tool to be able to use in real estate investment, and that is something that is key to real estate that makes it one of the best investments possible. But in the beginning, when you're starting out investing, you know, I started saving money and investing, I think when I was like 8 years old. Every month, I would get a little allowance, and then over the summer, I would caddy in a golf tournament on the Oregon coast, and that would be my big like 2 weeks every year, and I would make $500 or $600. And back in, you know, the early 90s, that was a big deal for me. And you know, when I was 16 and I wrecked my car, I had to get a new radiator and a new hood and get that all fixed. You know, my dad made me pay for it, and I had the savings to cover it. And I mean, it didn't feel great to have to be able to pay that, but
That one stung a little bit.
right? It made me really value, like, you know, I had been saving that money for years, and
See it go.
Yeah.
What do you think in terms of, because I know I hear a lot of people say that, you know, save your money and don't just put it under the mattress and invest it. Do you have a percentage of your savings that you feel comfortable investing or do you invest all of it? Do you invest a little bit of it? Do you have a number in mind, or is it kind of just a feel thing?
Do you have like a legit savings? Like I know a lot of people have checkings and savings. There's some people out there with just checking accounts and the rest it's invested. They
Like a
don't
money
hold, they don't,
market account
yeah,
or
they don't
something like
just
that?
sit on a large savings because that savings is doing less than 1% per year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, I feel like farther into the series, we can, further, I got those two mixed up. Further into the series, we can really dive into, kind of wealth accumulation and wealth preservation strategies. But really, like, the pillar of it all is just being able to analyze and figure out how to save, and then as well, working on growing your income after you've learned how to save. And not like, so when it comes to looking at your income every month, and looking at your balance sheet, assets and then debt, you really want to get rid of any debt that is not going to be like real estate debt that is 3 to 5%.
Mm-hmm.
And we were chatting earlier about compound interest, and one of the beauties of saving and then investing is that you every year that interest compounds. And if you invest $1,000 a month, then at the end of 20 years you're going to have $800,000 at 10% compound interest. And the stock market has done roughly 12% over the last 70 years if you look at any point in time. So that's an average return. And if you just put that money in the mattress over that 20 years, like you're if we do the math on it, that's only $240,000. So it makes tons of sense to invest now and let compound interest work for you. But on the opposite side of that, we were chatting about debt. If you're racking up debt, compound interest can work against you as well. And if you're taking out $1,000 of debt every month for the next 20 years, that's going to be $800,000 that you owe. But you won't have received those benefits. And if it's a 20% credit card interest, then it's going to be 1.6 million or even more. I don't know what that number is, but like that's the crazy thing about just like that foundational habit of saving part of your income and then investing it and letting the compound interest do its work. And what's great is once you've built that foundational muscle and you're tracking your net worth and you're tracking your income and expenses, and you have money to invest every month, then the options, it's just crazy how much they open up. Trent, do you have any stories? Like what got you into saving and investing?
I was just about to say that, actually. So if you do not have a figure in your life at a young age, which luckily my parents were, but if you don't have that, I highly recommend reading The Wealthiest Man in Babylon. I read that book in college when I was when I was 16. I really got into like the whole idea of using money to make more money, and that's kind of been my driving force ever since 16. But in college, I really started, investing in the stock market. Full disclaimer, I blew up 2 stock market accounts with some bad trades, but that's beside the point. I had the right habits.
He was definitely, his whole focus was money. How am I going to make money?
I think we've all blown up stock accounts.
Yeah, so that happens. But The Richest Man in Babylon kind of reiterated that concept for me of paying yourself first, and then, paying everyone else later. So if you can pay yourself first and save money and then worry about your expenses and what you want to do for fun and that kind of thing, that just really solidifies that saving habit. And that it goes a long way. When you start making more money, you're already used to paying yourself first. And so now I look at it as a bonus. So at the end of the year, I have a savings account that I put money into, and then my wife and I figure out what we're going to do with it. But at the end of the year, it's, nice to have a bonus there that we didn't need over the year. And it's cool I know we used some of it on our honeymoon when we got married. Like, it was fun to take a trip with it, and it didn't hurt my feelings seeing that money leave the bank account.
Yeah. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, and mine is strictly my parents growing up. Like, no matter what, any allowance, any birthday, any Christmas from grandparents, they forced us to put in more than 50% into a savings account. So the last was what we could go and spend on new Xbox games or whatnot, but they forced money into a savings account. So when I got into college, I had something, and I wasn't that kid that didn't have anything. So it really taught me early on just to save. And growing up in college, it kind of threw that savings habit out the window. But now that I'm out of college, it's gotten a lot better. But I mean, I think that's just a thing when you have no income coming in and you've got that money sitting there and you've got friends going out in college. It was just like, I'm going out. And
but that habit is still there.
yeah, I didn't lose the habit. Like, I was able to flip it right back away as I got out of college. But college I wasn't working. I played baseball for 2 years and then literally didn't hold a very strong job. I served to a retirement home.
Yeah, I was in the same role. Can I ask you a question then?
Yeah.
Do you think these habits can be built later in life? Can you teach an old dog new tricks when it comes to saving money?
Absolutely. I mean, when you get older, you develop habits, and the question is, are you intentionally developing that habit, or are you kind of letting things happen and then the habit is developing itself?
Mm-hmm.
And it's certainly with, the three of us are extremely lucky because our parents taught us this extremely important habit when we were young. And it's, there's a certain portion of the population that have been taught this when they were young, and then and learned it and put it into practice. And then, and now there's the other group that is like trying to figure it out now. It's like, and when it's definitely much, much harder to learn later in life, but it's absolutely doable. And then, it takes getting a really good reason why. Why do you want to save money? What does that mean? And the answer for me is, the reason why I save money is freedom. I want to be free. I want to have freedom of time. I want to have the freedom of choice of what I want to do. And, that freedom is kind of the top number one thing for me. And then that allows me to fulfill other goals, which are extremely important, giving back and leaving a legacy. And then as well, spending time with the important people in my life. And I wouldn't be able to do that without the freedom. And so that's why I save, and that's why I invest. And I think it really takes diving into why, because that's the toughest thing about building a habit for me, is if I don't have a strong why, then it's
motivation is
the why.
Like, it's hard to get to be motivated about it. It's like, okay, why am I doing this? This is hard.
Yeah.
I was reading a blog post earlier today, and it was talking about 2021 business plans for real estate agents specifically. And one of the pieces that it said in there was
facts.
Was your why, no matter how big your why is going to take care of your results. So if you have a monumental why, you want to provide free housing to less fortunate because you are in that position financially, you're going to work to get to that goal, or maybe you can provide a couple families free housing, whatever it may be. But your why is ultimately what motivates you. And if you don't necessarily believe in your why, it's a lot harder to make the sacrifices now to set yourself up for the future.
Yeah, I was going to say, early on, did you kind of give up a lot of freedom to save and kind of sacrifice early on in your life to now you're in this position where 2 weeks on skiing vacation really isn't that big of a deal?
Yeah, and multiple weeks before that I didn't see him.
Sorry, I only knew you 2 weeks. Trent threw you under the bus.
I've been extremely blessed by, Zoom and everyone being forced to stay at home. So not needed at the office, which is great. And we're being
that you have
really creative about solving problems that require me to be there in person. But I mean, yeah, when I was younger, like our family didn't have very nice things, like my parents drove old cars. We I did not get new clothes. I had like, the stuff that I had was good, but we shopped at Walmart and TJ Maxx, and like in through college, like I guess I was lucky. I started playing poker, and I studied extremely hard and became a very proficient poker player. And kind of like during the poker boom, I was, able to do well and generate a really good income through poker. And through the habits that I learned when I was younger, I saved and I bought 2 houses, like in cash. And that, and I also blew up a couple stock accounts. But that's, but it like I wouldn't have been able to do that. Like if I hadn't been taught and I hadn't learned that idea that you need to save a decent amount of the money that you make. And so, I mean, my wife still complains that I don't know how to spend money.
Living below your means, I think, is the biggest thing. And like that example, we talked about it on our podcast before, like the flex culture is basically what's killing our generation, is going out and shopping Gucci or Supreme and looking cool and driving the nice, fast sports car that's hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they lease it. And it's just that image that people are trying to portray versus the family that, shops at Ross, shops at TJ Maxx. What's on their back is good. What's on their feet is good. The food on their table is good. The house that they live in is good. It's just the culture, like growing up, that's what it was fine. We didn't need to flex to be cool, but now it's like you have to drive the flashy car to be cool or have the most followers to be cool. And so I think that's really hurting our generation, is spend what you make so that you look cool.
Yeah, and most of our generation is being taught to spend money on material items instead of saving money and then investing it for their future, which that could be a slippery slope if you ask me.
Well, and it's the question is, which why is more important? Is it more important to like be on top of that flex culture, or is it more important to have your freedom in 10 or 15 years?
And I'm choosing freedom.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think a lot of people do.
Well, but that's your choice. So, I mean, this isn't for everybody. Like, in saving and investing money it's not for everyone. But, I personally think that it's an incredible strategy, and that, that if you get this foundational piece, then it just opens up so many doors. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, you're laying the foundation to potentially build a skyscraper versus some people lay cracked foundations, barely get a single family house on it.
So do you think, obviously, having this foundational habit of saving money is important, and then you kind of transition into the investment side? It starts with the savings, then you start thinking, okay, how can I grow this money? And I know for me, that was the biggest, or that was the funnest part. From a young age, I'd save money, all this. And then when I had some money saved up and when I blew up those stock accounts, it was because I was really interested in growing money and seeing how I could grow it and increase the value of it. When do you think that graduation or that transitional period happens?
I mean, the first priority of saving and investing is to cut down on that negative compound interest. So if you've got a car loan, if you've got a if you've got credit card debt, like getting that stuff paid off is essential. Like getting out of debt. I mean, unless it's like lower than a 5% interest rate, it just doesn't make any sense to have it, because you're fighting that negative compound interest that's getting higher and higher. And it's, the stock market's not guaranteed. So yeah, you want to get your debt paid down as quick as you can, but as well, setting yourself a reasonable goal. And then when those windfalls come, being diligent in putting a large portion of that to pay down debt or to invest in the stock market. I mean, the first step when it comes to investing is investing in a tax-free stock market account. It's just the foundation. And this was a big epiphany for me, since like I've not invested in stocks in the past 15 years. After I blew up that stock market account in I guess it's only been 13 years, but in 2007 I lost quite a bit of money in the stock market, and pretty much immediately after that I sold all of the stocks at the lowest value possible and invested in real estate. And it took a long time for me to make that money back, but I just didn't realize that just sticking with it and letting the compound interest do its work. So, and just investing in investing in the stock market and not necessarily trying to pick stocks. So
it's that total market fund.
Yeah.
That's that fund. It's the Vanguard is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Or whatnot.
So VTI is the ETF. That's probably the easiest one to get in and out of. It's got the lowest cost fees to pay the managers. I think it's 0.02%. So, for every $100, it costs 2 cents to manage the fund. And, most stock market accounts charge 1.5% to 2% for mutual funds. And the crazy thing about mutual fund managers and other fund managers is that very few of them actually beat the total stock market. Like money managers, financial advisors, they're all taking, they measure themselves on assets under management. So AUM, that equals their income, because AUM generally means that they're getting 1% of their assets under management. But the thing is, like, their stock market investing advice generally does not beat the total stock market. And if you look at it over a long period of time, it almost never, like, I think it's like 0.1 of 1% of fund managers have beaten the stock market over the last 30 years. And, like, it just wouldn't make any sense to not invest in the total market fund with the lowest fees, because if they're not beating the stock market by a lot, because when you talk about an average return on the stock market, let's say it's 10%. I've heard 12% is average over the last 70 years. But if you look at it, like since the stock market started, it's like 8%. So if we just look at a round number of 10%, if you're paying 1.5 to 2% in fees, you're literally taking your return, you're reducing your return by 20%, but it's also the compound interest on top of that. You're reducing the amount of compound interest that would increase your account. So like I've got the compound interest calculator going on right here. If you invest $1,000 a month every year for 20 years at 10%, your investment is 814,000. Actually, that's if you started with 6,500. It's 766,000. And if you reduce that down to 8%, imagine if you're investing in a mutual fund and there's somebody taking fees out, that 2% has reduced the investment down to less than $600,000. So that's a loss of more, like that's like 20% or more.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. So that's why if you're going to invest in the stock market, the biggest mistakes that you can make are to not be in the stock market on the most important days. I want to say that if you're not in the stock market on, I want to say the 3 most important days of the stock market that year, you'll lose. Even if it was up 12%, you'll lose money. And so if you're going to invest in the stock market, you need to be invested in the stock market for all of the year. And I guess one of the tendencies that I've also learned is that the more you trade, the less successful your account is going to be. And
Oh yeah,
Alex and I know how that goes.
so
yep.
that's why this amazing strategy of just investing in the stock market, making a habit, do it every month. Like after you've paid off all that debt, if you just do it every month, then your account is going to grow. And I'm going to do a future episode on like which accounts to invest into and how to open up those accounts, and then how to kind of plan out financial freedom as you're growing your muscle of investing and saving. So
Yeah, I mean it's something where I stopped day trading because I was slowly but surely just tanking my account, and now I'm not doing anything stock related. So it's something where it's like I should be allocating money that I'm now just letting sit in my checkings because I don't really have an investment to put it towards into something like this.
yeah, and like after reading the book A Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins, who laid out this simple strategy, I am going to be investing the maximum amount that an employee can invest in a 401k every year, which is and then as well I'm going to be maxing out in a healthcare savings account and just utilizing that tax-free opportunity for your stocks to grow. So, and I'm just getting invested in the total market fund. Like I'm just so excited because I've always known that the stock market is a great place to gain value. And instead of having money sit in my checking account or having money sit in the property management accounts, I am going to create the process of just like getting that money in the stock market as quickly as possible. And then, if I need to pay something down, we'll find that money.
What's your strategy with like the HSA? Is that something that compounds? I mean, I have my HSA and I understand it's like pre-tax dollars. I used it quite a bit this year for medical stuff.
So the idea is that it's better than a Roth IRA because it can come out pre-tax. So you can contribute to it from your income. So it'll deduct from your income. And then it doesn't get taxed, and you can invest it, and then you never have to disperse from it. So the thing about the Roth IRA or an IRA is that you are required to make minimum disbursements when you turn a certain age. So the idea is that they call it triple tax advantage because it comes out before income tax, and then it doesn't get taxed as it grows, and then you don't have the minimum requirements that will get taxed on the way out.
So technically, how you can max out an HSA each year is what you're saying? Like I can only
Yep. It's like $3,500 or $3,600 every year.
I should probably change my allocation of how much I'm sending there and max it out every year.
But what happens on the back end then? Like if you are 55 and you have
an HSA, well,
I mean, you have a bunch of money in there. Like, can you just draw on that tax free, or is it taxed if you just pull it out or does it have to be medical expenses? Can you get those funds out anyway?
I mean, as you grow older, you're gonna have medical expenses. Like that's not something you're gonna get away from. What you do is you keep track of all of your medical expenses, and then when you're ready to start using it for medical expenses, then you just come up with all of those receipts that you had, and you can keep. I mean, the strategy is to keep track of all of your medical expenses every year, but let it grow tax free and just use your cash to pay your medical expenses now, but save the receipts, and then after some point in time, you can use the HSA to pay it down. Like once,
well, the HSA maybe back after all, if you keep your bills, right?
Say that again. Yeah.
If my HSA, if I don't use it for my neck surgery that I just got, and I paid cash out of pocket, the $1,000 that I spent technically came out of my pocket. I could next year send them the receipt and get $1,000 out of my HSA. So he's saying just build up your medical expenses over a period of time, and then once your HSA is compounded enough, now you go back and you just reimburse yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Because once you reach that point where you've gotten out of the wealth accumulation stage and you're in the wealth preservation stage, that's when you want to be minimizing your taxes as much as possible. And one of the worst things that can happen to you is if you've built up a great account in your IRA and then you're forced to take minimum disbursements, you can get hammered with taxes if if you have a decent sized account and you're being forced to take minimum disbursements. So having that HSA, like if you have a large portion of your wealth in the HSA to pay for medical expenses, that you may incur, but as well, like, if you're planning on passing on any wealth, that HSA kind of just becomes cash when you go.
Well, yeah, and it's pre-tax dollars, so I assume that's a tax benefit to you in the long run.
Well, it just allows it to compound faster. Yeah. Pre-tax dollars, growth is not taxed, and then you're not forced to pay taxes on it in the future. Like that's the one hiccup with the IRA is that they're like, okay, great, now you've saved your money and now you need to pay taxes on it.
Yeah, this is exciting. I mean, it's going to be eye-opening to kind of figure out all the different ways and dive further into each specific way.
Okay, yeah. Then what about 401k? How does 401k and Roth work into
this? Let's save that for a future episode. I'm excited to dive into the stock accounts because I've really done a lot of research on them. So.
Oh yeah, I am ready to pick your brain on that because
I got
probably be utilizing it.
I got to stop hammering triple inverse funds betting against the market. That's more I just can't keep doing.
Stay away from those derivatives, Trent.
But the upside, are you kidding me?
Oh my
You have
gosh.
to hit the upside one.
Yeah.
No.
Same thing as the
What
roulette table.
What upside is there?
It's there.
You
I just miss
know?
it every time.
It's all those guys betting the middle bets on the craps table. The Yo 11 and
Yeah, where it's like one
four
in
the hard way.
Yeah. Yep. I mean,
So I just have to be patient and wait till it hits, and then I'll move it into a full market fund.
there you go. That's the mentality.
Yeah, it'll hit eventually. Just gotta write it out.
I think the idea is to just, you don't have to move all of your stuff immediately, but going forward, you're saving and investing. And so it just all comes back to that foundational habit of save part of your income every month and invest in the total market fund at the lowest possible expense, and then just forget about it. Like the best way to improve your savings is to build your savings muscle and then to increase your income. And then you're saving double every month or triple or 10 times.
This was something we had a little argument about on the podcast. So I'm glad you're kind of on my side with that.
I know. I'm a little upset right now. But you did talk about, I mean, your point was savings first and then increase your income.
Mine was theoretically fixing your spending habit, which is going to in turn help with savings. Yeah. Because like the idea that I was saying is if you're going out and you're only generating $1,000 a month in income, but you're putting $1,250 on your credit cards, like you're forever going to be in debt. But if you can flip side it and you're only spending $750, but you're generating like $1,000, now you're positive $250 to go pay down your debts.
And you've taught yourself how to live off of $750. And so when you get to the point where you're like, okay, now I'm up for a promotion. Now I'm going to make $2,000 a month. Bam. Now you're saving $1,250.
Yeah.
But the problem is if you don't fix that, the saving and investing habit first, then you run the risk of when you double or triple your income, that spending habit, that lifestyle creep is going to follow up, and it's going to follow. And instead of spending $1,250 a month, you've got your income to $3,000. Now it's going to be $3,250.
Right. My argument was you have to focus on your spending habits and simultaneously figure out a way to generate more income for yourself, whether it's a side business, you pick up gigs on TaskRabbit or Craigslist. In some way, shape, or form, you have to be willing to generate more income.
I'm very excited to do the side hustle episode of this series because it is essential in this day and age. You have to have a side hustle.
Stream. You have a source, and then you make streams of income.
You
didn't like the word side hustle, so we changed it in our episode.
That just sounds too like shady for me.
Nope. No.
Side business. Side business.
A little something on the side.
A side hustle to me sounds like you're promoting ads on YouTube. Check out my side hustle and make $500,000 in a month. Yeah. And I don't know. I just have a bad stigma with the phrase side business. All for it.
Boom. Well, yeah. I mean, this is going to be a really cool series to I'm excited for my own self.
I'm going to
utilize it.
I'm going to challenge myself to follow the things that we talk about throughout the series for 2021 that just got added to my 2021 business plan.
That's solid. Yeah.
I'm going to challenge myself to follow the things that we talk about throughout this and see what happens. I can track some numbers.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm excited to talk about kind of tax advantaged stock accounts, HSAs, 401ks, solo 401ks, and other various strategies.
Yeah.
Side businesses.
Well, that one will come further, but I want to get in the before tax time, when you're making those investments to really choose to talk about those tax advantaged stock accounts.
Yeah. Pros and cons. Yep. Sweet.
Cool. You have anything else to add to this one?
No, I mean, it's just kind of a simple episode, but it's just like it's the building block, it's the foundation. It's simple to understand, but the implementation is, and if you have a family and like getting everybody on board, like
makes it harder.
It's like when my wife and I met, she had different spending habits than I did, and it would be the source of a sore conversation, many nights. Like it's
What are you doing? That's not what I was doing. Yeah, I see it all the time. I literally joke about it like I'm a part marriage counselor, because I've seen
being a mortgage broker.
Credit cards and hidden accounts here and there that the husband and wife don't even know about, and it's just like, gosh. So
yeah, we've signed up on mint.com, and that's how we're tracking our net worth. So the other like little foundational piece is that if you're tracking your net worth, like and you're looking at it every month, it is known to grow. Like so I did a training. It was a goal setting training with Jay Papazan and Jeff Woods. It's the One Thing goal setting retreat, and they said if you're tracking your net worth, it is based on our statistics. People who do that grow their net worth about 4% every year. And
was it every year or every month?
It might be per month.
Sounds.
Yeah, I think it's per month.
I thought it was month.
Sounds closer. 4% per year.
But 4% a month is pretty solid if you think about it.
Yeah. But I bet you that's like the stat of people who don't look at it is 4%.
Well, I mean, but some people, they might have negative net worth. So they might be doing infinite growth once they get it from negative to positive.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you're starting just looking at how to real estate, or like how to invest in real estate, or how to get started in investing, it's okay if you don't have any savings. Like that's okay. Like you have to start somewhere. We all started somewhere as well, and it's you've just gotta start somewhere, and then you'll grow. And if you just look at it every month, you're going to be way better off than the person who doesn't.
Yeah, you're
going to start kicking yourself if you don't start. You're going to start looking back 4 or 5 years from now and regret not starting when you first wanted to.
We just did an episode where we're trying to preach and encourage people to talk about finances with their family and friends and peers, because it's not an awkward conversation that needs to be had. It's something that you can talk about with people around you and have an accountability partner with these people and grow your wealth together. I mean, it's a great way to increase your wealth is do it with someone else.
Yeah. Going completely against the stigma of like, don't ask friends about their finances because you don't need to know their business. It's just talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know your business. Let me see if I can help.
That's the only way somebody's going to know how to help is if you talk about it.
All right. That was the end of today's episode. Catch us on the next one in this series. Peace.
We out. Mic drop.
Adios.
That's the end of today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. It truly means a lot to us. If you haven't already, please subscribe and share this with friends. This helps fuel the podcast and gets more and more guests on our show. Hey, go follow us on Instagram as well. Desk Talk Podcast. Go connect with Trent and I as well. We're on Instagram too, LinkedIn, you name it. Stay tuned for more episodes. Peace.